guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching this new video. If you're new here, my name's Tunmise. I talk all things hair care, lifestyle and business. If you're a returning subscriber, it's nice to have you back. Let's just get straight into the video. Girl, let me tell you, so many videos online, so much bombardment of information. How do you know which oil is right for you? I'm giving you guys a little bit of cozy, a little bit of orange type of mood feel lighting so you guys can get comfy. Get your snacks, get your hot drinks, because it's going to be a hot topic and we may need a part 2 to this video because there's just so much to explain, expand and understand. So we see all the beautiful YouTubers posting their recipes, posting their hair tips and tricks, including me. What they don't explain is the science / medicine behind it. I'm just going to touch on this information just so you get the gist of how the hair follicles work, how the hair grows, and then the texture of your hair, how that plays a role in absorption, and then we'll speak about the oils. I'm just going to run through the different parts of the labeled section and I'll explain it to you now. So first we have the blood supply, and this is where our hair basically gets its nutrients and absorbs the blood from. This blood supply comes from the deep dermal vascular plexus surrounding the scalp layer. This supports and nourishes the scalp and also the hair follicle. This provides a waste elimination to get rid of waste products and also help with growth and sustaining of the hair follicle. If these vessels are affected, this is what can actually initiate hair loss, because think about it, if there's no blood supply, that starves the hair follicle, no nutrients, no oxygen, meaning dead follicle. Now we move on to number 2. We have the dermal papilla, and this regenerates the cycle portion of the hair follicle. The hair bulb is the third one that we'll be talking about, and this is where the active hair growing cells are. This is specifically structured to express the hair pattern that you have. The erector muscle and the sebaceous gland. This both in turn helps produce the sebum production, which is the oils that maintains our hair follicles and our hair strands. The sebum is naturally produced by the sebaceous gland. Sebum acts as a protective layer / coating which protects the hair from oxidative damage and free radical damages like UV light. Lastly, we have the visible part of the hair that we see on our heads, the longer part, and that's the older parts of our hair. And that visible part is called the hair shaft. This is made up with a flexible protein called keratin, and it's made up of 3 parts: the medulla, the cortex and the cuticle. This is really important, the keratin, forming a protective layer on your hair, and this is what keeps your hair nice and flat. So now that we've understood the foundations of the way the anatomy of the hair and the follicles work, we can now move on and understand the principles of hair oiling and why it's so important in our routine. We are exposed to daily environments in our everyday lives that can cause excessive damages to our hair, from the UV rays from the sun to toxic chemicals to soot from the underground train stations to dust and pollen. This is where hair oiling came about. And if you guys remember when I was speaking about the sebum that produces in the sebaceous gland, it helps coat the hair and helps add a protective layer against damages. This is the same with oil that we apply manually to our hair shafts. As you guys know, if you have, well, some of you may know, as some of you may know, or if you don't know, as your hair grows out of your scalp, it's harder for the sebum to penetrate the longer parts of your hair if you do have curlier / coilier hair textures, and that's just because of the spiral nature the shape has, meaning in turn this is why you could be experiencing drier or brittler hair. With the straighter hair types, you can notice that sometimes they describe their hair as too oily if they haven't washed it in a couple of days, and that's because their sebum production is easier to penetrate as the shape of the hair is very straight and flat. It's just good to understand the foundations of why hair oiling was important in the first place. My next point is hair porosity. We've heard this so much times, but what is hair porosity? Hair porosity is the measurement of the hair's ability to hold in moisture. It can also be a measure of how moisture penetrates the hair. We've heard about the low, the medium, and the high. And what are these three things? And why do we all have different type of porosities? Well, your genetic makeup would determine the type of texture of hair that you have. If you do want to test your hair porosity, you can take a glass cup, fill it with, I believe, warm water, and put a hair strand on it. And depending on if it floats or sinks, you either have low, medium, or high porosity. So with low porosity, this is where the hair shafts / cuticles may remain flat, and this causes a difficult job for water to penetrate into the hair shaft. That's why people with low porosity may have time holding in moisture, or may notice that their hair doesn't dry as quickly, and that's because the water just literally sits on top of the hair shaft due to the shape of the cuticles and how they're closed. But in turn, if water penetrates the hair shaft eventually, this type of porosity holds and retains the moisture for longer. Then we have the medium type of porosity, and this is just basically in between low and high. This is what they usually call the normal type of porosity, and it's usually common in people who have slightly wavy / curlier type of hair textures. There's the issues with holding water or losing water just because of how the cuticles have been made, so they generally find that their hair can hold styles better, their hair can last longer, and their hair can retain moisture normally. It's just in the middle, as the name states. High porosity, this is where the cuticle has so much gaps in the hair shaft, and this in turn causes moisture to just leak in, so basically go in and out, and they don't retain moisture as much because of how much space they have in the cuticles. They find it hard to retain moisture, so it's literally the opposite of low. They find it so hard to retain moisture, their hair gets drier and brittler and frizzy as well, due to not having that layer of closed cuticles that can help retain the moisture better. So now that we've known all of this information, what hair oils are best for each hair porosity? So lightweight oils are the best for low porosity hair types, and this is because they can penetrate easier. It doesn't take longer for them to penetrate through the hair shafts, as long as there's moisture in the low porosity cuticle first. This is where the lightweight oils come in, and you can find several lightweight oils out there: grapeseed, sunflower, argan oil, jojoba oil. These are really beautiful oils that are lightweight, they're not too heavy on the hair, and they don't sit on top of the hair as well. Using heavier oils like castor oil, for example, would just sit on top of the hair, and you would notice the hair would not be penetrated with moisture at all, just because of how thick and how heavy the oil is for a person who has a low porosity hair type. With anyone who has medium hair types porosity, they don't really have a specific oil that works in this bracket, just because it's been classified as the medium / normal type of porosity. So any oils in the low / high porosity categories, they may find that these oils work perfectly fine for them. So it's just a matter of experimenting what type of oils work for your hair and going from there if you have the medium porosity type. But I can list some, same as grapeseed, castor oil, coconut oil, jojoba oil. any oil is really good. You just have to test it for yourself just to see how well your hair tolerates it. Just because research may advise a specific type of oil for your hair type doesn't mean it may work in reality. So having a balance and testing these oils out will be really great, just to see how well it works with your hair, as you know your hair best. High porosity type will need a heavier oil that could fill in the gaps in the cuticle. Due to their nature of being exposed, again, it's harder for them to retain moisture, so they will need something to fill in those gaps. Oils like olive oil, coconut oil and castor oil have been known to help these type of porosity types. The high porosity oils require a heavier type of oil. Due to the nature of high porosity, there is so much gaps in the cuticle, so it needs something to seal those gaps in for it to be able to retain the moisture. So heavier oils like olive oil, coconut oil, castor oil really help in sealing those cuticles. As we can see, it's very important, and we can now understand why hair oiling is important and why it's come to play in our society and communities. Hair oiling has been around for years, it's nothing new, but understanding what type of oil for your hair type is very critical and crucial in your hair care regimen. Honestly, experience is the best teacher, so applying these things to yourself and to your hair routine will help you know what's best for your hair. We make herbal oils, herbal infused oils, and mainly our oils are composed of lightweight oils. So if you do have the low porosity / medium porosity hair types, you're welcome to try these oils I have behind me. And if you do have high porosity, you can also try these oils and mix it with a heavier oil and see how well that works for you. In my other videos, I've explained benefits of herbal oils, why it's a good topical agent and why it's good for your hair shaft. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you'd like more videos on hair porosity and me explaining it. I would be happy to do any video requests. If you are looking to purchase Koya Care oils, we have a special discount code for our YouTube subscribers. You can apply that at the checkout if you are interested. So guys, I will see you again in the next video. Thank you so much.